Hey, everybody, this is Kenny. Welcome back to another edition of the Leading from the Middle podcast. This is the podcast for middle managers who want to develop themselves, develop their teams, and improve their results. I got to talk to a phenomenal leader today, Fractional CTO Oshri Cohen. Join me today and wait till you hear his backstory, which really came out of tragedy, but it really helped him to grow and learn some new things. Oshri's experience across a lot of industries is going to be what you want to grab onto from this podcast, as he will give you advice from watching a lot of companies and a lot of leaders across a lot of different industries. You don't want to miss a second of this as you learn what a fractional CTO actually does. Let's get at it.
This episode is brought to you by Kitcaster. Kitcaster books you on top podcasts. How do funded startup founders attract prospects and talent? Podcast interviews. How do entrepreneurs with exits find new deals? Podcast interviews. How do C-suite execs differentiate in crowded markets? Podcast interviews. Kitcaster books you on top podcasts. Click the link in the show notes for a special offer. Celebrate good conversation.
Hey there, everybody. This is Kenny. Welcome back to another edition of the Leading from the Middle podcast. Leaders, pause today. You're about to be inspired, and you're about to probably learn a bunch of things that you may not know that are really going to help with your long-term development and help move your business forward. And so I'm just going to get right to it. Today, I have the honor of talking to Fractional CTO Oshri Cohen has joined me today. Oshri, it is so great to have you. How you doing, sir?
Very well. And yourself? Thankfully, I have internet back. We lost internet for a whole day almost.
Oh my God.
Which is ridiculous, because then I'm like, what do we do? Can't do anything.
I know, right? So it's amazing how dependent we are, on it. And that's funny because it leads a little bit into part of your backstory, because I want to find out. You have an amazing backstory. And I want you to even go back to when you were 13 years old, because I saw that in your bio, and I just, that lit me up. And then I know that there was a tragic shooting in Montreal that also, speaking of internet, that really was sort of a turning point, in your life. So tell us your backstory, and don't leave anything out, man. You have got such an amazing story.
Oh boy, my backstory. I got into software development at the age of 13, right? I got into it because my friend, and back in the day, internet wasn't that fast. And piracy was all over the place. You could get any music, any movie, any video game you wanted. And I wasn't a rich kid. My parents didn't have money. They would never buy me a game for $50. You're nuts. Forget it. That's that's groceries for the week.
Yes.
I assume in the 90s. I have no idea.
Yes.
I know groceries now are very expensive.
Yes.
And so we would download games and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, also around that time, people would share this content online in what is basically called a dark web. Right now, back then was just the web. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Right? Dark web is anything that's not accessible by, .com. That's anything that's not accessible by that's dark web effectively. Right? And so we would get horrendous content. I'm going to spare you the details, but horrendous content that should not ever be shared anywhere by anyone. Highly illegal stuff. And my friends and I went to the police. Went to police. I'm like, wow, we got this stuff, because we were smart enough to know that that's like we shouldn't do anything. Well, the police didn't care because those laws weren't in place yet. So, nowadays, if you get caught with content like that on your computer, you go to jail for 20 years. That's the reality, if you get my drift. And so we got into programming this way. We said, well, what if we attack their computers for doing this? And so we played their game. We would repackage without the content. We would repackage a virus with horrendous titles, just disgusting, right? And get them to download it. And it would, within 10, 20 minutes, we would see them go offline and they would never come back.
Wow.
Because it would literally destroy their machine. That's how I got into software development.
Wow.
And from there, I was absolutely hooked. From there, by 16, I had contracts building web applications for people, websites, not web applications, but websites. I was still in high school.
Mm.
I didn't do college. I didn't do university, completely 100% self-taught,
Mm.
right? And back then was very difficult to be
Yeah.
self-taught software developer.
Amazing.
Nowadays,
Yeah.
we want the self-taught people. I don't really care for if you have a university. I'm like, okay, that's cute. You have a university degree. That's bravo. Right? Who cares? I want the scrappy person who who stayed up nights figuring it out on their own.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because university software development or software engineering, I should say, in university is just it hasn't kept up with modern times.
Yes.
Right? It's still the science of it all, but they come out of university not knowing how to tie their left shoe.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, but they can build a great software if they were just taught the right way.
Yes.
That's how I got into the industry. That's it. And at 18, boom, first job. Let's go. Started working straight out of high school. And then I did eventually a business degree because you do need business acumen in life. So I
Yes.
did a business degree at night. And that's it. And I've been, I'm 41 with 23 years of experience. Go find another one with that much experience, right?
Yeah, that's amazing. So tell us about, and it's an amazing story, by the way, and you got into it for a righteous reason for sure. Tell us a little bit about that turning point for you with the school shooting in Montreal, that you quickly realized, there's a big gap there, and you figured this out, and that it helps so many people.
Yes. So, yes, that happened. I wasn't involved in the school at all. I had family member in that school. None of my family got hurt, but some people did get hurt. And I believe there was a loss of life as well. And in Montreal, this is a big thing. Like, this doesn't happen, right? I think there were two major shootings in Montreal in the span of 30, 40 years, right? And usually very, very mentally ill individuals, unfortunately for them. And people didn't know what to do, so they were calling their cell phones. Cell phones were a big thing. Not everyone had cell phones, but the cell network was immature enough that it couldn't handle the amount of traffic going on the cell towers, and it got completely locked down. And add panic, add news, sensationalist news, right? They're quite irresponsible in the way they report. And add, well, parents, like parent anxiety. I'm a parent now. If this happened, I would lose my mind. I wouldn't know what to do, right?
Yeah.
The entire cell network shut down completely. Nobody could get through. And I've always been an entrepreneur. Like, I've always been, okay, I can see things that others don't see. I attribute that to my dyslexia 100%, right? And also why I was a poor performer in school.
Yes.
Very poor performer in school, but a very good performer in life and business, because I can see things that others don't see. That's just a dyslexic mind, very well researched. It exists.
Yes.
And I saw, okay, there's a business here. There's a business in creating just a simple button that you can go press it on a screen and automatically message every parent in a school and every caregiver and whoever it is within 2 to 3 minutes. Now, this was back in 2005, maybe 2005, right? Funding in Canada was inexistent. Like, there was no VC funding.
Wow.
The IT infrastructure was very immature. So if I needed the servers, I needed to have servers with hundreds of cell phones connected to it. Like, literally, they sell servers like that with cell phones connected to it. The antenna, at least, not the cell phone itself. And that would have been a huge cost. I tried to spin it up, try to get there. I had one contract ready to sign with a major school because I was really, really fast at it. And it was really early in the it was really soon after the tragedy. So people were really aware of it. But having the government that we have, I think a week before we were going to sign the contract, the government cut off funding or reduced funding, if I recall correctly, reduced funding by something 10, 20, 30%. of all schools
Wow.
across the
Crazy.
board.
That's
And
crazy.
even though, parents were going to be paying for this, $1 per semester per student, negligible. They would have never even felt the cost. Nothing, right? Nobody would have said, "Oh, it's more expensive by $1. I don't care,"
That's
right?
crazy. That's
The
crazy.
optics, the optics of it all was negative, and they're like, we can't be seen investing in something, even though a single dollar is not coming out of our pocket, and even though it's going to help us, we
Wow.
cannot be seen investing in a period where a budget has been slashed.
Yeah. Oshri, I just have to
And
turn off my video for 1 second. I'm still right here. Keep
yes,
talking, please. And I apologize. I'll edit that out.
not a problem.
Mhm.
And so how can I say? And that was devastating. I lost $50,000 of money that I didn't have. $50,000 of money that I didn't have, but I did learn a very, very important lesson, is that optics, and optics is really, really important. And that actually taught me how to be a fantastic manager, a fantastic leader, right?
Wow.
How you are perceived, how the message will be perceived by others. That was a great lesson to learn,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
You know?
Wow. I mean, there's so much to unpack there. But I want to really get to what a fractional CTO does. But man, oh man, thank you, first of all. um, how amazing. And especially, can I ask how old you were then?
I was 24,
You're still a very,
25,
very, very young man
25.
who
Yeah.
figured out this life-changing gap despite all the other, noise
Yeah.
around you.
The
Um,
business failed to launch, but at the end
right.
of the day,
Yeah.
it is what it
Yeah.
is.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. What an amazing, amazing story. And you hate that that happened, but there's always good that comes out, and the good that came out that you did is just fantastic. And I love that you started talking about leadership there. So let's get into, I really want to know a lot more about what a fractional CTO does, and go into as much detail as you can. And then why is that important for leaders today?
So so before I can explain what a fractional CTO does, I have to explain what a CTO does.
Yes.
So a CTO is a chief technology officer, the person who is in charge of all technology, all software engineering, and sometimes even product, right? Product design and so on and so forth. Not the actual design itself, but how the product organization functions. When you're building software, you have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people interacting at any given moment. There's a lot of technology, there's a lot of decisions that need to be made. And so the CTO is typically this tech lead, this individual who has very wide-ranging knowledge about a little bit about everything, and can lead people into getting the best out of them, right?
Yes.
Now, early in a business, in a business, there's no real leadership. It's only management, right? The CTO is just is a developer. He's coding. He or she is coding, building code, building software, and so on and so forth. But as the business evolves, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, the team grows, the business grows, it changes, it morphs, it evolves. The CTO's role needs to evolve, being a creative, an engineer, to a manager really quickly, within about a year. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
within about a year, go from creative to management. Very difficult transition. Within a year to 2 years, maybe you go from manager to leader. Whoa, that's where that come from, because now
Mm-hmm.
you're managing managers, right? And then you go from leader to visionary,
Mm-hmm.
where you're part of the business. You're actually guiding how the business should move forward, still
Yeah.
in technology and engineering, but much higher strategic, because you've got people below you that handle the nitty-gritty detail. And so that's the CTO role. And what I realized is that, having been in the startup world for a very long time, what I realized is that the CTO stays for maybe about 2 years, unless they're the co-founder, right? Unless it's their business, right? And then they're not leaving, they're not going anywhere. But if they're not going anywhere, they might actually not even be good at their job to begin with, at being a CTO. They might be a great engineer or just a great manager, but being a leader, it takes, you either have it or you don't have it. You don't learn leadership.
Yes.
Your brain is wired to be able to connect with people and have empathy, or it does not. It is not taught. I don't believe it is taught that. Right? You can go to management school and learn how to manage people on an Excel sheet, but that's not really going to help you more than just dealing with the numbers and scheduling and organizing.
Yes.
And so I asked myself, okay, well, if the CTO leaves after 2 years, typically on average 2 to 3 years, it's because they've reached a point where their skill set is no longer compatible with the business itself. And that's a really, really important aspect. You hire a manager now. Well, if you're a retail store and your store now has 15 locations, that same manager may not be good to be promoted to a director or a regional director. They may not have the capacity. So they may just be good as a manager, and that's it. Because they may not have that capability, right? And this happens often in business, where we just promote the most senior employee, thinking they know the most. Okay, hey, you're now VP. Whoa. Maybe they're going to do a good job. Maybe they won't. Maybe they just can't think at that scale. That is their human limit. And some people don't want to be managers. They just want to be the director directly because they have that capability. So sometimes that's who you're looking for.
Yes.
Right. This is the conundrum of the founder, of the business executive, of the CEO, whatever it is.
Yes.
Whoever the person is or whatever the business is, that's the conundrum. So who do I put in place at what time? And so the fractional CTO concept came in. I did not invent it. It's existed in Europe for many years, right? Very popular in Europe, because in Europe, it's a culture of, I'm going to borrow, I'm going to rent, I'm going to use, and then I'm going to continue. I don't need to acquire. North America, we like to own things.
Yeah.
We like to have, I'm just going to hire the full-timer. I don't want to deal with a part-timer. I want to work with a full-timer.
Yeah.
And so this model came up where I am an executive, I am a manager, I am a leader, whatever the company needs me to be at that particular moment. I'm a chameleon, and I can manage entire engineering teams and departments of 20, 30, 50, 100 people 2 hours per day.
Yeah. Wow.
Because you don't really need full-time management. At the end of the day, that's the reality. You need someone to make the schedule. There's no schedule in software engineering, barely, right? Create a process, create the flow of work, how things should be done, create the rules and regulations, the processes, again, they're framed, create the guardrails to prevent people from making mistakes, but allowing them to take risks, right? And that's a really important aspect to allow people to grow. Put in the guardrails, let them hit the guardrail a couple of times. Right? They're not going to make a major mistake, but they tried something. And allowing your people to take risks and be creative, wildly important.
Wow.
That's how they grow, and that's how they produce beyond their quote unquote station in the business. I've seen junior developers straight out of school come up with fantastic ideas that my seniors couldn't even dream of, because they were allowed to do so. They were allowed to talk and say, you tell me, you advise me. So when I go in to any client, I sit with the senior most people. I to talk to and I like to talk to everybody. I don't like to talk just to the managers, right? Because they may not know what's going down, and I may be getting wrong information. So I do spot checks, and I just get on random calls with random developers, completely random. I'm like, hey, talk to me. What's going on? What do you like? What do you don't like? What's going on? This and that. And so how can I say? And I help my people do a fantastic job.
Yeah.
I advise, I reposition, I ask them, what do you think should be the right course of action? And honestly, 50-60% of the time, it's the right action.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they just needed the confidence to do so, and someone to wear the bulletproof vest and take the bullets for them.
Yeah.
That's it. That's me.
Wow.
I take the risk. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
you're going to make that decision. Excellent. I'm taking the risk for you. Don't worry about it. Go.
Yeah.
Go do it. Their anxiety is gone in a snap of a finger.
Wow.
It's gone. oh, somebody's taking the risk and I'm just going to do the work. Yeah, go ahead, do it.
Wow.
If it doesn't turn out, they fire me. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Hasn't yet happened. Many years it hasn't happened. It hasn't yet happened. But I allowed my people to take risks, and they've produced beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
And they produced it on their own. All I needed to do is just reposition a little bit. Instead of looking left, look a little bit more to the right. Just a little bit more. That's the direction you need to take.
Yeah.
This is where we're going, right? Yeah. Here's the map. This is where we're going. Here's the trajectory I think we should take. What do you guys think? Everybody come into the table. Oh, let's reposition this. Let's do it this way. Oh, you're not seeing this variable. You're not seeing that variable. Excellent. That's exactly what you need, right? Yeah. And that's a lesson, whether you're managing a restaurant, whether you're managing a dry cleaner, whatever it is. You're managing a restaurant, talk to your waiters. How happy are the customer, the patrons? Do they understand the menu? Is the menu too complicated? Did you have to explain to them everything? Are people asking too much? What's your favorite dish? Yeah, come up with put a favorite dish right on your chest. There you go. That's my favorite dish. Oh, that makes it nice and easy, right?
Yeah.
It's your people that will drive innovation.
Absolutely.
If they're allowed to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved everything you said. This is amazing. And so, and I tell you, what's also what stands out for me is that you've got these great technical skills that you taught yourself and that have gotten better and better over the years. But you mentioned this, that either you can connect with people or you can't, and you have that ability to connect with people and to be able to back them up and say, listen, try this. It's on me if it doesn't work. Don't worry about it. But also giving people room to grow in their positions. I think that's so important. So if I'm understanding also this right, you get to work across different industries, correct?
Yes.
And what is that like for you?
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. It is so exciting because I'm pretty sure I also have ADHD and I can't focus too much on one problem. I get bored. I would get if I were to be a full-time CTO, I would be bored within 6 months. What else is there to do?
Yeah.
Because my brain needs to solve problems.
Yeah.
And so it is very exciting to be in marketing. I think around this time last year, I was in logistics. I had a logistics client, marketing client, an e-commerce client, and a health tech client.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And I have to keep all of this in my mind. But the reality is, at the end of the day, it's all the same.
Yeah.
But regardless of the industry, you're still leading people, and you're still trying to make decisions that make sense, that are logical.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What would be, and you would be an expert in this, what would be some common trends that you see that you want to see leaders continue to do? And what would be some other common trends that make you scratch your head that you see leaders do across all these industries?
So this is a wildly unpopular opinion of mine.
So
it's true.
I don't think that bothers you, though. I don't think that bothers you. Yeah.
Not in the slightest. Does not bother me at all. However, it is a thing. So this is unpopular. Really good, really effective leadership is a perfect parent-child relationship. Not from I'm the parent, you will obey me. That's bad parenting, right? Forcing your child to obey to you,
absolutely.
Bad parenting. Guiding the child and helping them become a better version of themselves and letting them take risks, again, within guardrails. I bought my 6-year-old a toolkit. He's holding a nail and he's hammering a nail into 2x4s with his tiny little thing. And yeah, he busted his finger. Okay, he cried for a few moments, but he learned and he never did it again, right? And so it's a perfect parent-child relationship. I love my kids, and that's how I approach my people. Is like, I love them without loving them, right? From the perspective, I want to see them do amazing. If they make a mistake and they divert off the path, I re-guide them there. If I have to scold them a little bit because, hey, come on, pay attention, you do that. But ultimately, I want to see them grow and I want to see them become better than they were yesterday.
Yes.
That's leadership.
Yes.
100%. That's always been leadership. If you do that, people will follow you to the ends of the earth.
Yes.
People will stay with you at the business for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Because
No
the
doubt.
reality is people don't leave their business, their jobs. They leave you.
Yes.
That's who they're leaving. When
Yeah.
they quit, they're quitting you, the leader, the manager, the boss.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a boss, don't be a boss. That's
Yeah.
very 1930s style, you know, smoking a cigar with a pocket watch. Um, right? Don't be a boss. That's just a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's how you inspire people to follow you. And then you take the risks for them. It's like, I'm
Yeah.
going to take the risks. You just do what you think is right. I think it's right. Obviously, you don't take just unnecessary risks. Obviously,
Mhm.
that it goes without saying, but that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and that'll work for across any industry. So what are some things what's maybe at least one thing that you see leaders doing that makes you cringe?
Lack of empathy.
Mm.
That is one of them.
Hmm.
I've had the unfortunate experience. I've only worked as an employee for 12 years of my life.
Hmm.
That's it, of my career.
Hmm.
The rest, I've been either self-employed, I've had a business, I've had this, that, moderate success here and there. My most recent business now, pretty successful. It's not too bad. It's doing well, right? I'm very well fed, so to speak. Um, and and I've had the unfortunate experience of working for quite possibly the worst people in the world, from racists to bigots
Uh,
to people who have no respect for women. Like, it's just, and this concept that um you have to be this tough individual, relentless person, drive, go, 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 without empathy,
hmm.
is flawed.
Yeah.
It's the garbage that we see from the Elon Musks of the world, where and that the media glorifies this type of behavior,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
When Elon Musk bought Twitter and he stopped paying rent. What do you mean stop paying rent? What are you doing? What
Yeah.
is this? You just fire people outright that slept on the floor? No. That's not how you motivate people to do work,
Right.
right?
Right.
And but empathy is definitely one of them. Understand that these people are humans and they work for you and trading hours for money.
Mm.
That's all they owe you. They owe you nothing else.
Hmm.
They owe you their brain space while they're working. And
Yeah.
after that, done. But the reality is that most employees can't disconnect because we kind of like our jobs, if we like our jobs, right? And
Yeah.
so we're always thinking,
Always
we're
thinking. Yeah.
always thinking about, how can I improve this? How can I make this better? At night, I'm going for a run. I will, as an employee, I would think of this stuff. Then I whip out an email, send it. It would go unanswered, or and so on and so forth. I remember once I sent an email out. I was CTO for a company, not FCTO but CTO. I was a full-time employee. I asked for uh I had a thought about security. I sent an email out and I got a response from my employer's lawyers to never mention this again. And I'm like, whoa,
Wow.
whoa, 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 whoa. This is a startup. We're like 10 people. I can
Yeah.
see you. I
Wow.
can see you like in a glass window. Like, you're right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
The most ridiculous concept I've ever seen. So this empathy and lack of connection and lack of support for your employees, this is where you will fail. This
Absolutely.
is where your company will ultimately fail.
Yeah.
And and the problem is that even if you're a horrible leader, your business will still succeed. Very likely you will still succeed. You will just have more friction, higher costs,
Hmm.
not as much profit, not as much growth,
Hmm.
right? But it will still succeed,
Yeah.
right? This employer that I worked with that did this has been blacklisted from, actually, that's a horrible term, has been ban listed, right? From every recruiting agency in the city,
Wow.
because everyone they position quits. And they're like, yeah, forget it. We're not working with your company anymore because you're bad,
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
That's
Wow.
that's the reality. That's
Wow.
it's nuts this way. So
Wow.
that's number one. Number two is just let them do their jobs.
Yes.
Just let them do their jobs. That's
Yeah.
it. You hire them for a reason. Wait, just let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's it. It's not a factory floor, and especially in a creative space, in a customer service space. Yes, there's something you have to, there's a process and a pattern that the employees have to follow.
Yeah.
But
But yeah.
let them do their jobs. That's it.
Yeah. But when did micromanaging become so popular? I have no idea. It's just a terrible, terrible concept. Um, that was
Well,
amazing advice. And listen, this has been fantastic. You have given so much today, and oh my gosh, and so I had no idea that type of CTO position existed, and it makes so much sense. But I love again your leadership. I love everything that you said today, that you do and what you stand for. Please keep doing what you're doing. It is so needed to have that balance between the technical world and your great people skills is something that I hope people jump on and can feed off of. My last question for you is, how can people contact you and get to work with you?
so my ideal customer is not necessarily a startup. Actually, I prefer not working with startups, right? They're fun and they're fantastic, but I prefer working with businesses that range between 5 million and 50 million in revenue.
Mm-hmm.
They need technology, or they think they need technology. Everybody needs technology to grow. It's just it's a matter of fact.
Yes.
Who are you going to go to? Are you going to go call the salesperson? He's going to tell you the job, the product is fantastic for you. Obviously, that's their job, right? Like every car at every car dealership is fantastic for you. It's a perfect car,
Yeah.
right? You hire a fractional CTO because we don't sell a product.
Mm-hmm.
We give you advice. We help you make a decision. And I like to say that, and it's actually true. One sentence, one answer from me can save you $100,000 downstream.
Wow.
Just once. That's it. And so there's no amount of money that is so high that you can pay me per hour to do my job, right? But how to contact me on LinkedIn, Oshri Cohen. Not many of them. Very unique name.
Yes.
OshriCohen.me is my website, right? So on these two platforms and on the web, you can find me. And if you want to listen to more, Oshri Cohen CTO on YouTube, you'll find all my podcasts as well.
That's awesome. Yes, I listened to a few. They were fantastic. Although there is like a DJ with the same name as you. When I first was searching on
Yes.
YouTube,
It's actually funny because I didn't know that OshriCohen.com existed.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I just had the .me for many, many years. And
Yeah.
the .com is a model out of Israel, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so people were asking me when they went on the site, like, we didn't know you were a model.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Very confused. I'm like, what are you talking about? Until they showed me the site, I'm like, oh, look at that. That's interesting.
I said, wait a minute, Oshri's turning the party up here. But wait a minute, that don't look like him, you know?
That don't look like him. CTO that's shirtless on a horse. I don't know what's going on here, you know?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Listen, it has been an honor to spend some time with you today. And I'll make sure that all of that is in the notes. Please keep doing what you're doing, and please keep educating people. It is amazing what you're doing, and you're an amazing leader. And I thank you so much for being so generous with your time today.
Thank you very much, Kenny.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Well, we'll leave it there. This has been the Leading from the Middle podcast with Kenny and Oshri. We'll talk to you real soon.